Hello, I'm Stephen Mayu, and you're watching thebestjs.com. Okay, in the last video, we talked about static class methods. They are methods that don't belong to an instance, but belong to the class itself. And we talked about static properties, which is an unofficial feature of ES6, and in order to use something like that, you need to use a Babel plugin in order to make it work. We're not going to go over that in this video course, but I just wanted you to be aware of it. And in some projects that use React and Redux, they use static properties. And you might come across it in some tutorials and videos. Just know it's not officially adopted yet, but I hope they are in the future because they are quite nice and I really like them. All right, in this video, we're going to talk about using multiple classes together and kind of combining the properties and methods from one class into another using the extends keyword. So I've got a blank file right here, and I'm just going to copy and paste what we have from the last video because we are going to build upon it. Okay, and I'm going to just give us some space right here. And I'm going to create a new class. So above we have our person class. Has a couple of static methods, a constructor method, and a few instance methods. So now let's create a new class, and this class will be a worker. Okay, it's going to be very similar to our person class, except the has job is going to be true. All right, so let's get started. So this will be class worker extends person. Okay, now what does this mean, extends? We haven't seen that yet. We have class person here, but this is class worker extends person. Now, a worker is a person. Think about it. All people, all employees of company, all workers, office worker, farm workers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, software developers, believe it or not, they're all people. And all workers are people, but not all people are working or have jobs. All right, think of it like that. So a worker is going to have a first name and a last name. They're going to have these kind of methods right here too, as well as some additional properties. Now, a worker has a lot in common with the person class. And instead of copying everything and doing the same like initialization in the constructor and so on and so forth, that would not be very efficient. That would not be very dry. You've seen programming, we should be very dry. Don't repeat yourself. So we can use the extends keyword and we will inherit properties and methods from the person class. So think of extends meaning inherit. Person is our ancestor, and we are going to inherit everything inside of here and essentially do like a copy and paste. So we can borrow properties and methods. We can also override anything that we borrow as well. So we're going to do another constructor method. And we're going to have first name, last name, and a job. Okay, that's a little different. And I'm going to call a special method super. Okay, first name and last name. So when you call super inside of a method, inside of any method, that means it's going to call the method from the class it extends from. Okay, so here we are calling super inside of the constructor method, which means it's going to call the constructor method of the person class. See, here is super. It's inside of our worker constructor, but we're going to call, but super is going to call the constructor method of our person class because we are extending from person. So all of this initialization is going to happen right here. So we'll be able to set our first name or last name, and then has job is false. Well, this is a worker, so has job has to be true. But that's okay, we can override that. We can say this dot job is job, and this dot has job equals true. So now we have overridden the initialized property in the person constructor, and we just overrode it ourselves and just said true. Okay, so again, we are getting all the same properties and methods from the person class. We're doing our own initialization here. First, we're going to call the constructor method of the person class. That's what super does. And then we're going to do some additional initialization of our own. We're going to create a job property, and then we're going to override false up here with true. And let's just write one more property. Set job, job, and this job equals job. All right, very good. Let's copy this over to our terminal. Okay, we're going to paste that in there. All right, great. So I'm going to say const worker1 equals new worker. All right, we'll say Stephen, Mayu, and software developer. Okay, looking good. Worker1. Now look at that. We've got first name, has job is true, job is software developer, and last name is Mayu. Okay, awesome. Now, we did not set this dot first name and this dot last name in the worker constructor, but we called super, and then that invoked the constructor method of the person class. And then we got this dot first name and this dot last name with the arguments that we passed the class. And then we also got has job is false. Then back down here, after we called super, we set this dot job to whatever we gave the class. And then we overrode the has job property that we got from person, and we set it to true. And well, this worker1, it can get all of the same methods from our person class. So if we call worker1 full name and invoke it, it still works. So instead of copying and pasting all this stuff, we can use extends to borrow all the properties and all the methods from another class. And if you wanted to, we can even write another class which extends from the worker class. And that new class, it would get everything from worker and everything from person too, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that is the extends keyword. It allows us to be able to borrow the properties and methods from another class. And if we want to call the super method, well, we can use the super method, and it will call the method of the same name from the class we are extending from. So I could even, have a full name class in here, and I can call super just like that, and well, it would find the person class because we're extending from it, and it would invoke the method by the same name, just like that. All right, great. We did a lot of good work in this video, so let's stop here. And in the next video, we're going to talk about getter methods. Getters. They get something. What does that mean? Well, let's take a break, and I'll explain it to you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.